is the Unlearning Podcast, a show where we will begin to disrupt, dissolve, deprogram, and dismantle what we think limits us in order to reinvent, rebirth, and revolutionize the world in our most authentic selves. My name is Christina, and I'm your host. So tell us about your podcast. This is, I must say, you got to come back. We gotta figure out something else.
Yes, I would love it.
So tell us about your podcast.
Yeah. So
what's the name of it? What's the concept?
Right. So my podcast is the Eat Me podcast, and my focus is basically just basically anything that's dealing with eating. So the reason why I started this podcast is because I struggle with eating issues. I'm an emotional eater, binge eater, you name it. If it has anything with overconsumption, I'm your girl, right? And so knowing that is something I'm still working through, I was like, I know there are more people out there that are struggling with this, and I want to talk to them, and I want to see what that looks like in their life, how it's showing up, how they can celebrate, any, small baby steps towards, maybe not having, one night of binging, or whatever that looks like for them. And then also just talking about just traditional things that are revolve around eating. What do we normally do with, in this culture or whatever that looks like. And then talking to actual professionals about eating and how eating, will manifest by way of trauma or whatever that looks like for the everyday person. Also bringing joy to eating, because we all have to eat, right? My hope is to bring joy into my everyday eating life, because majority of the time I am in my head, okay, I ate this and this. Okay, I probably shouldn't eat that. Or if I do eat it, then I'm like so down on myself. I'm like, you can't do anything right. You just can't get it together, right? And I think too, that voice is so important for people like myself, because when people see me, they're like, oh, you have a doctorate, you're a nurse practitioner. How is something that's so minuscule as food? You know what I'm saying? Food that doesn't have any thoughts, feelings, you control it. How can you, being this educated person, have a struggle with something that's this minuscule? And I do. And I want to open that up to people that are, professionals, or even not. Who cares? The point of it is that you see certain people and you think there's no way they're struggling with that. Right? There's no way they're having these problems. And then on the flip side of that, also talking to women that I always revered, that were these thin women. And I was like, oh man, they are winning in life. How are they doing that? Then to find that they have their own struggles with eating, right? So I want to bring everyone together to really talk about what eating looks like in their lives, how we can bring each other together and love on each other in that way, and then have the opportunity to learn how to eat healthy and in ways that make us feel good, as opposed to, you have to count these calories, you have to be on this diet, food freedom. That's what I'm striving to get to. It's a journey.
I wanted to tell you, that is you need to trademark that, hashtag food freedom, because that is what I received that. It's like, especially growing up in my culture in New Orleans, like, we live to eat. We don't eat necessarily to live. And that's a different, the food, just like you said, culturally, food is at the center of everything, because food is love.
Yeah.
And so what I love about what I was listening to on your podcast is that there are the spaces that you have that educate, like you said, you bring in experts to talk about food. But then they're also relatable, because they're also, like, the one that resonated with me, I think it was your second episode with, she was a doctor. She was talking about bringing kids in the process of cooking. So I got a 15-year-old right now who is basically taking over my kitchen. What started with the little hot plate that I bought her, and you only cook with this, has now turned into her using all of my utensils. I can't find my knives because she's always cooking and cutting and making recipes. Right. And so to hear that was kind of a slap on the hand for me as a parent, because it was like, no, that's the opportunity for her to go in there and to learn about food and to celebrate, and the sense of pride that she has because she cooks for both of us. So she's cooking this healthy meal. And I'm not, my mom taught me recipes. She'll ask, but she's also creating her own. And it's like, okay, I hear you, that interview in my head. Okay, step back. She's going to clean the kitchen. It's not just your space.
Right.
Yes, you're the woman of the house and you can still be the woman of the house. You just don't need to be in the kitchen right now. Let her do her thing. And so, how is it that, well, let's go back to your background, because you did talk about you have a doctorate in nurse practitioning.
Right.
What made you want to just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I do not want to be a nurse practitioner. I want to really concentrate on the aspect of the food. Like, how did you make the choice to, I'm just gonna let this go and do this, as opposed to say, oh, let me do both?
Right. So I actually, when I went to nursing school, so I mean, my life is all over the place. Let's just start there. So my first degree is in musical theater. Okay. I went and I performed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and I performed for years. Right. Then I went back to school for nursing because I was like, I got to get serious. I got to get serious. It's whatever that means. And so I went to nursing school and realized, I was like, oh, I like this whole education space. I like learning and all the things that are required with nursing, right? And then realizing, even though I'm in the field working, it's not my passion. I've always cared for people. I've always been someone who's, there to take care of people. My whole family, or the women in my family, have always been caregivers. And we joke and call, like, my mom and my aunts witch doctors, because they had a cure for literally everything. People would come to my family like, oh, what is that thing you made up? Because they would make up different things with herbs. And so I grew up in that type of environment. So it was just kind of natural. And I just thought that was my path. And so I went on to nursing school, became a nurse practitioner, got my doctorate. And I kid you not, when I got my doctorate, I was at a conference. I was presenting my research at a conference, and I'm there. I'm like, I'm seeing these women. They love the science of nursing and the art of nursing, and they're talking about all this, amazing research they've done. And I mean, I'm there. I got picked. It was great. But I was like, I'm not in it like they are. I really, this is not me. And I loved seeing them, and I loved learning about the research and all the different things that were that is happening in, the field of nursing. But I was like, that drive and the passion I saw in their eyes and how they presented, I was like, I don't have that. And I was like, Alicia, let's take it back. What is really something that you are passionate about and something that you really want to share with the world? And I was like, my journey with eating, because it's been literally a journey. I had, I've always, like I said, I've always had issues with, just overconsumption. And in 2018, I had the gastric sleeve surgery done. And I thought that was it. Like, I'm going to be thin. That's it. It solved all the problems. But no, it was still this. So yes, my stomach is smaller, but people still gain weight back after having these surgeries. And people are like, how is that possible? They had the surgery, they removed the majority of your stomach. Well, I mean, you have stretch receptors, and over time you can stretch that thing right on back to square one if you really want to. Right. So once that really started hitting me too, because there's a certain point where you're just losing. When you're losing that weight, and it's like, oh, I got this, I can do whatever. And then there's a point where your body's like, okay, we've done all we could for you. Now it's your job. And once that hit, it was like, oh, this is beyond me having a diet, going on Atkins, cutting my freaking stomach down to size. I've got to get this together. My mind's got to get together, because it's much more than me being on a diet. It's much more than me having this surgery. I have trauma that I have to actually work through in order to actually be successful with this thing of eating. because like I said, it's always been there for me. It's never let me down. When something's wrong, I can go and get me a whole row of Oreos and just lay it on the line, So this was something that I knew that I could have, the ability to share my journey, and then also to let people come into my life and realize, oh, she also is doing, I'm also in the same space. We can, build on this and empower each other in ways that has never been done before. Because most people don't talk about stuff like this because, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
And we have, your podcast is timely to talk about food, celebrating it, but also educating on, just being healthy about it, making healthy choices. And the health is not like you're saying, not only portion control and not only making sure you have like all the fruits and vegetables, but it's the fact that, it's the mental aspect as well. And I think it's timely because what has frustrated me the most is the conversations we've been having about Lizzo.
Oh,
I don't understand. No. It baffles me. It disgusts me, and it baffles me that we don't know what her food journey is. We just make assumptions.
Right.
Oh, she's overweight in our eyes, so therefore she's this and that. Now, there was once upon a time where being overweight meant you were quite wealthy. How we have forgotten about that. Okay, whatever.
Right.
So it just amazes me again with these labels.
Yeah.
And how, because we view her to be this way and we've never asked, which really, it's also not any of our business.
Right.
What is her relationship with food and what's on her plate? Then we think it's justifiable to deny her of her humanity as a woman, as a sexual being, as a Black woman, as just anything. When we're calling her lumps of, objects, we have objectified her body, which is no different than what you do when you look at a Playboy or any other thing, Sports Illustrated, whatever. It's the same.
Right.
You're objectifying her. And, she is on her own journey. To your point, she did lose a significant amount of weight, but that weight was for her. Right. That was not for us.
Right.
Not for us to say, oh, girl, you lost all this weight. That was her food journey. So what do you think about your podcast specifically? And y'all really need to go check it out because it celebrates food, but then it educates. And it's just like, it's almost like you need to have like everybody sitting at a table. Like I don't want to say red table talk, but you need to have a table. It's just so, that's speaking that on you. So just think about it. What do you think about the podcast that is resonating with people? Because you are picking up quite a little following.
Yeah.
I don't say little, but you're picking up quite a following. And so what about it do you think is there something else just besides we can all relate to food? Because you're deeper than that. Like I get the perspective, your energy is just much more deeper than that.
I think beyond the food aspect, because that's just so like, that's the superficial part, right? I think it's the connection to someone who is genuinely saying, I want to learn how this works, and please join me. And if you know something, great. Because if you know something, maybe and we all can just come together with all of our knowledge and all of our love, and we can just walk this journey, and figure out things as we go. We're not going to figure it all out because that's just life. Every time you wake up, you learn something new. Every time you go somewhere, oh, I didn't know that. I just want to, I think people are also craving that type of relationship with just people in general, where it's like, oh, you don't know it all either. I don't either. Yes. So let's figure this out. Let's do our best to figure it out. Because I think for so long we have put ourselves in positions where it's like, oh, I know everything. I know it all. And so even though you don't, you just want everyone to think that. And so that's as much as people feel like that's something that's going to reign supreme or have them, be this person that presents like they have it all together, you've created a barrier. So you've not allowed abundance and things to be receptive to come your way because you've already said, nope, I know it all. Don't come here. Or you can come here and I'll tell you all the things because I know all the things. And it's just like, okay, do I even stand to your, your caliber because you have it all figured out? I don't even know if I can approach you. I think having that approachable spirit and just really just wanting to build community, people are craving that and we all need it. Myself included.
Yeah.
I want a community where we're just learning and growing and just being human, right?
Yeah.
With all of our
Yeah.
flaws, figuring this thing
Yeah.
out because if we had it all figured out, yeah, I think it'd be all over at this point in terms of humanity,
Yeah. I mean,
So
there's no, reason to come down and go through the journey because
yeah,
done.
done.
We figured it out the first time 15 minutes we got here, like, and done. Put me back in the room. We're going back home.
I got it.
And that is one thing that in hearing your first episode, and I've got a lot, I was like, man, you have been busy with your interview. So I got a lot that I'm gonna enjoy listening to over the break, over the holiday break. It was your honesty and your transparency. Like, look, yes, I have, a doctorate in medicine, but I'm still learning and I'm still struggling and I still need, like, I heard that action, the call of action in your, like, the first couple of sentences in your first episode, which was like awesome because it was in my mind like, oh, okay, she's going to just educate us on, food and what we should be doing. And it's not your typical, and that's what I want people to hear from me listening to it. Like, it's not your typical podcast where you have a medical profession or any other medical professionals coming in and telling you, like, here's what you should be doing.
Right.
It's really pulling back those layers of what, in this, from this perspective, what does food mean for us emotionally? How can we embrace it or look at it differently? What are those parts that we need to celebrate that we may have been told was wrong?
Right.
But it's actually beautiful when you look at it through this lens. And I just think it's very unique and it's amazing. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about these other episodes and so you're still in season 1, right? Am I not?
Well, I'm kind of open-ended with it. I haven't really done like a season component. I literally, I am that person. I'm like, listen, let the chips fall where they may. If it turns into seasons, great. If it doesn't, I just want to share the love. I just want to just do the damn thing and just make it happen.
Yes.
But to your point of like, I wanted to just kind of circle back. I did not want to share that I had a doctorate in nursing practice. I didn't want to say that I was a nurse practitioner. I just want to say I am just this crazy fool who's just trying to figure it out. And if y'all want to come on, let's figure this out. Because I know as soon as you say, oh, I am so-and-so with this doctorate degree and this, that, and the other, people are instantly like, oh, this is about to be a tutorial. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, so here we are,
Yeah.
I just want the human experience, whatever that looks like.
I agree with that because I don't have a doctorate, but I don't share all of my, you can go figure it out. Go Google, you can stalk anybody nowadays. You can go figure it out.
Okay, yes.
And it's very interesting to see how people treat you when they think you're a nobody. In their eyes.
Yep.
How they think you're a no one. How dismissive and how invisible you become. And I always get a kick out of that. Even when I led my team, I would never tell anyone who I was. I would just be around.
Right.
And being the only leader in that team at the time, it was very funny. And then one of my my colleagues would come up and say, oh, that's my boss. And that tune would change pretty quick.
Right.
But I know how you really are now. Because what you do for the least of these, you do unto me. So, then it became a game with my coworkers. Then you're not going to mention this, that. Let's see what they do this time. And they're like, I don't believe this. I'm like, so how are you now defining with your learning and figuring out like this is really where my passion is? Speak to how you want to define success for yourself. Because you also talked about there's certain things that you thought you had to be this way that you're sufficient in who you are. And so how are you defining success for yourself? What is success for you?
I think now, like today, success for me is ensuring that I'm doing things that make me feel good. That is success, because initially I thought I had to meet all these marks. I thought I had to get all these degrees. I thought I had to, stand out. And because I was always taught you have to be bigger and better than, all the white people that encounter in this world. So I've always been in the mindset of I've got to go the extra mile. I've got to do everything extra in order to be successful in this world, because what I've been taught is, as a Black woman, you're not going to be seen as, someone that has just a bachelor's degree. You have to have all these other degrees. You have to stand out in ways that will actually make you, not marketable. And so I was just like, oh, this is what it is. But now I'm realizing I was killing myself trying to be a part of that rat race. And it was like, and for what? At the end of the day, I'm like, I'm doing this so I can look good on a piece of paper. Like, what does Alicia, like, do I feel good inside? I want to feel good inside. That's every day I'm trying to find success in how I'm feeling that day, in terms of feeling good, making sure I'm not harming anyone, and being encouraging to someone. That's success to me. Because if you can tell me that your smile or that thing you said to me or this information you shared with me really changed how I was feeling today, or now I'm going this way with my career or this or whatever. If I'm helping somebody too, that's success for me. Just knowing that I'm a blessing to somebody, that's success all in itself.
Well, I'm telling you, like, I've listened to not all of them, but I got 3 blessings. Like, you have me thinking, okay, one with my parenting. The other one is the big one, is like, you need to get yourself together and heal your trauma. So thank you for what you're doing with that. So
you're welcome.
I mean, I'm sharing it to you face to face, woman to woman. Thank you, because it got me free. It got me free.
Thank you.
So what can we anticipate in the next evolution or the version of Alicia Christian?
My hope is to, and some people have been asking me about this, is to open up opportunities for people that aren't seen. And you're like, what does that mean? I'm trying to find ways to make people that feel that they're not visible to be visible, in ways that they are celebrated and loved. I'm just trying to figure that out. And because I think a lot of what's happening in this world is a lot of people just feel like either they're not visible or they're not being heard or seen. And because of that, that's where this backlash and all this evil, negative connotation comes from. But it's like finding ways for us to celebrate one another, create that visibility, and just welcome in each other. I once I figure that out, it'll manifest in ways that I probably won't even be able to imagine. But that's my hope, is to create visibility for others, because there were times in my life where I felt so invisible, and that people would always count me out. And then when I would, meet, that mark, and I think it was another reason why I was always trying to like push, because people always kind of counted me out, like, oh, it's Alicia, like she'll be, and it was just like, when I saw that I could be visible, obviously it was like, oh, okay, this is how this can be done. But some people don't know how to get to that point. And I want to help people as much as I can to get to those points and not be so frustrated with life, because life can be beautiful. I think a lot of people just kind of get so stuck in this, like, no one hears me, no one sees me, and, just forget it all. I'll just continue my regular 9 to 5 and just be miserable. Right. And not to say that you have to quit your job or whatever, but still find ways to be visible, seen, and heard, and feel loved on this earth. I think that's where I want to be, just to find ways for people to feel that love. Because it's lacking in so many ways. It really is.
And I think what you said before is that's where the abundance lives.
Yeah.
in love. And
Yeah.
so when we don't, it's fear or it's love, like that we got to
Hmm.
choose because
Yeah.
fear is not working.
Right.
And so the abundance is in love. And my mom always used to say that uh, love multiplies.
Yes.
It never subtracts. You can never
Hmm.
divide it. You can add to it, but it on its own will always multiply.
Right.
So you never have to worry about if it's the right love, it's the godly
Right.
love. It always multiplies.
Right.
So we could all have it.
Right. Exactly.
um,
Exactly.
what is final thought? And here I do a lot of lying as we close out our interview because questions will start popping up again.
I love it. No, it's all
Try to
good.
close out. So, what is one thing you want listeners to take away from your journey? Because you've talked about a lot of beautiful journeys
Hmm.
that, life has presented to you.
Hmm.
What would you want them to know?
That that it's not over, right? So I think
Mm,
some people feel like, oh, I've reached it. And then now it's all, once I get to this particular goal, or I've met this, whatever, then I'm here. And it's like, okay, you met that goal, but now now you have another task at hand. And it's like, just
yeah.
know that there's with every mountaintop, there's going to be a low valley, and we're just kind of up and down. We're up and down, and so it's not over. So at this moment, I'm feeling good, and that whole "this too shall pass" type of situation, this great feeling, it's going to pass. There'll probably be a moment where I'm like ready to just throw in the towel. It's going to pass, and so it's not over. There's more to come, and I think that's something that just kind of keeps me going. Or there's always more to come. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's it. There's always something else that's going to be there, whether it's the lower or the higher moments, but there's always more to come.
Beautiful. Okay. These are like three other signature questions, and then
Yeah.
probably a lie. I got another question. So you're here now. You're here now in the present.
Hmm.
You can go as far back as you want to
Hmm.
past Alicia.
Yeah.
What would present Alicia tell the Alicia that was in the past?
So it would be Alicia at 14 years old. I was, you know, very insecure, very overweight, but I still would take chances, but take chances
Mm,
by way of like watching other people to see if it's safe. And I would tell her to take chances by way of what you want to do. Do what is right for you. And then that won't steer you wrong. Don't wait to see what everybody else is doing. What do you want to do? And then focus on that.
okay. Now we're still in the present.
Hmm.
What would you tell Alicia, however far ahead in the future? What would future Alicia tell Alicia sitting here today?
Be patient. Be
Mm,
patient. All the things
mm,
that you want and you desire, it's already done. So just enjoy the journey.
Say it one more time. Say it one more time.
Yeah. Just be patient.
I need to hear that again.
Yes, just be patient. It's already done. So just enjoy the journey because it's already done. You just have to follow this path. Don't try and rush it. Don't try
Mm,
and, expedite
mm.
this and that and try to get all the
Um,
different little,
what can so
shortcuts.
two more questions.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, say it again. I'm sorry.
Don't
You
say
froze.
don't shortcut it. Just enjoy the journey.
Enjoy the journey. What can we as a community do to support you?
Well, one, subscribe to my podcast, any podcast. And also, just send that good energy and that love my way. It doesn't have to be anything with you saying anything like, reaching out to me. I would love it if you reached out to me. I'm on pretty much every social media platform. Send me a message, just encouragement. I think that's what we all need. Is just have that encouragement that, what, I see you, you're doing great work. How can I, be a part of this journey with you? Because I want people to join me. I want you to come along this journey with me because I don't have it figured out. So just, join the community that, I'm trying to cultivate and just be a loving presence, if anything.
Beautiful. And again, last question.
Yeah.
Where can we find you? Just to make it clear, where can we be in touch?
All right.
All that stuff.
So you can follow me on Instagram. I'm the Alicia Christian on Instagram. I think I'm the Alicia Christian on TikTok, which is actually hilarious because my daughter's been helping with these TikTok videos. It's pretty comical. I'm Alicia Christian on Facebook. I have a website. It's aliciachristian.com. You can find me any of those spaces. I would love to connect with you. And if you want to be a guest, if you just want to just chat, I'm all about it.
And of course, all of the information for Alicia will be in our description for the show. I want to thank you, Alicia Christian, for being a guest on our show. You have got to come back.
Yes,
I feel like I have talked to a friend. Like
yes,
in a long time.
I love
it.
It.
Oh my gosh! All I literally did was say, "Can we just press record?" And we have just. But I love when we have these kind of talks that, yes, I write questions to guide the conversation.
Right.
But these are like what I love doing. These types of let's just have a talk and let's see where it goes. But I know that everybody doesn't always follow that train of thoughts, and I have to have some structure.
Right.
It's cool. It's jazz, y'all. We just have the chords and then we improvise like throughout.
Yes.
But I think this is a beautiful conversation.
I love it.
Definitely the longest I've had.
No way.
It's an hour and 30. That's way. So we almost hit that 2-hour mark. Which is great because I have enjoyed talking to you today, and I really hope that we can find a way to collaborate, or
please, I would love that.
Please come back.
Once
you come, like we like family, just let us know how you're doing, and if there's any way that I can support you and help you in what you're doing, please don't hesitate to reach out. I mean, I'm learning the book of face and Instagram and all the social media.
Yes.
But whatever I got to do, I will help to support another sister on her journey of her purpose. So thank you, everyone, for listening to this amazing conversation. I know you're going to love it. And just until next time, just thank you. You have just blessed me. I'm like speechless.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You all have an amazing day. God be with you. Thank you. This has been the Unlearning Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this little introduction to the show, and I look forward to unlearning with you together in future episodes. If you enjoy the show, which I know you will, please like, share, and subscribe. You can also send me a written or video comment on any of your favorite podcasting apps. This podcast will be available on all podcast platforms. To stay connected, follow me on Christina Jones, the Unlearning Podcast on Facebook, and Unlearn This 2022 on Instagram. Again, thank you for listening, and until next time, what is it that you need to unlearn in your life today to live a better, brighter tomorrow? Thanks.